Hey everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter. I like to do this twice a week on a Monday. I like to invite authors into my home. We talk about books, writing, a life as an author, and whatever comes to mind. And this evening, I have the wonderful Adele Royce joining me. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm great. Thank you, Tina. It's very nice to see you. Thanks for
You,
having me.
you have been on my show before, and we had a fabulous chat. We talked about the other book. I had to write it down. I apologize. Which, of course, my notes aren't here. Summer Blood. We
Summer Blood. Yes. Yes, yes,
Um,
yes. We talked
First
about.
of all, before we get going, I do want to congratulate you on your book launch today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been an exciting day. It feels like it's not real yet, but but here we are, right?
Yes, here we are. I mean, no matter how many books we write, every time a book, is published, the feeling never goes away. Is that the same for you?
It never really changes. It's still exciting and a lot of different feelings and emotions that happen and uh
Yeah, it's just an emotional roller coaster because we spend so much time writing this book, putting our heart and soul into it, and then when you actually get to feel that copy, it's just, no matter how many we write, it's just amazing. And the book that went live today, do you have the copy of it? The copy of the book that went live today?
yes, it is Slipper Girl. You can
Slipper
kind of
Girl.
see
Now,
her.
now this is book 2 of the Neon Diaries.
It is. Yes, so this is the sequel to Summer's Blood, and it takes place, the story takes place 10 years after Summer's Blood.
Okay, now just let's backtrack a little bit before we get into this one. Summer's Blood I read, and I
Yes.
absolutely enjoyed it. We talked about it in depth. And at the time, you were a new author to me. I've never read any of your books before. So I was really pulled in to your book. And I had mentioned in the last chat that I loved Skylar. I love Skylar, and she turned out to be a very, very surprising character. And I was happy to see that this is Skylar in the next book.
So what was so funny is you were perhaps one of the main readers who pointed her out and really was intrigued by her. And I would say that when I went to, and I think I even said to you when we had our last discussion that, oh, if you liked her, you're really going to like the next book. Because I had already decided that she was going to be one of my main characters in Slipper Girl. So yeah, so it was fun. It was fun to go into that, go into her character, go into her past, create the conflict and follow her through this book. It was really really kind of a fun journey for me.
Yeah, she sounds like a really fun character to get to know. I mean, she's full of surprises, especially in book 1. Like I said, I started this book 2. I was trying to hoping to finish it before we had our chat, but as I was telling you before backstage, is that life gets in the way. It gets in the way, but I am really, really enjoying it. And the prologue pulled me right in. It pulled me in. It's so far right now. It is really good, really good. I love your writing style, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, no, I it's funny. I've read I actually have your new book and I read the one previous to that and I loved it. But prologues, I've written only two books, Summer's Blood and Slipper Girl, where I actually wrote a prologue. And what's funny is I always write the prologue after the book, I finish the book, because if it merits a prologue, which we as authors have to kind of decide, is the prologue going, like, what is the prologue going to do, and how is it going to function in the story, and what's it going to tell the reader that the reader needs to know. And in this case, the prologue was so different and so it served a completely different purpose from what it did when I wrote one in Summer's Blood. But yeah, it was, and it's a murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some really, really page one, like you're dealing with something pretty serious, right?
Oh yeah, totally, totally. I do want to pause real quick. We have some people joining us, and I want to pop them up and say hello. And again, I am talking to Adele Royce. We're talking about her new book. Let's see that cover again. I love
Yes.
seeing the covers of these books.
Here it
It's
is.
called Slippery Girl, and it launched today. Congratulations on your launch. This is book 2 of the Neon series. I highly recommend reading Summer Blood first. I loved it, and I'm reading this book right now, and I'm really enjoying it. Let me see who we're joining this. Okay. Oh, here's a question about the book already, but we'll put it up. Why did it take place in Las Vegas? Before you answer that question, can you just give me a little rundown, a little backstory to this book, Slippery Girl, before we start answering the questions about the book?
Sure. So, as I was saying earlier, Slipper Girl is the sequel to Summer's Blood. It takes place 10 years after that novel. It's really sort a spotlight on Skylar Van Ness. She's my main character. One, I have actually two main characters. The second main character doesn't kind of show up until later, but Skylar Van Ness is the character, and she appears in Summer's Blood as a 17-year-old. She's the daughter of one of my characters. She was an extremely strong personality, very irreverent, very rebellious at her age, and and also really, really smart. I mean, part of Summer's Blood's denouement and the how things reconciled towards the end, she was really kind of a mastermind in that process. So, the whole book we go through thinking, oh my gosh, this teenager who's like this really sort of crazy, character who says whatever's on her mind and all kinds of things, does whatever she wants. She's really, really a smart and complex person. And so for Slipper Girl, I really, really dug into her past. And really, the essence of Slipper Girl is when your past comes back to haunt you. And what are you going to do? And so for Skylar, in Slipper Girl, she's 27 now. Okay. So she is a casino executive. She's very, very good at her job. She's a marketing mastermind. Her father owns the casino, but she's really sort of fighting against this sort of nepo baby thing. She feels that, she's kind of like, she wants to really be taken seriously. And she's really, really carefully done a great job to put all this past stuff behind her. But the problem and the conflict starts out in the first chapter where her mother, who she's been estranged from for 15 years, comes back from Amsterdam, where Skylar grew up, and is gonna work to unravel everything she's put together. And that's kind of the conflict in the first chapter. Her mother's coming to Vegas. She's worried because nobody knows these secrets except for this mother who knows what happened in Amsterdam during her childhood and adolescence. And Skylar is deathly afraid. And her personality is much different in this novel. She's no longer, I mean, you're 17 and suddenly you're 27, you do change.
Yeah, she was a rebellious teenager back in the day.
She was, but in this novel, I had a couple of readers say, oh, she just seems so different. And it's like, well, she's trying to be different. She wants to be different. You can't be that rebel forever, especially if you get a big job.
DJ, her father, has a lot to do with it too.
He had a lot to do, yes. And in terms of her rebelliousness or her he has a lot to do. So DJ's her father. She's very intimidated by him. Mm-hmm. She wants to please. He's the CEO.
And she works.
Yes, and of the casino that she works in. She's the CMO. She's the marketing VP. And so there's a lot of the family saga that started, in Summer's Blood, and even before that in the first series that I wrote. But with this book, there's I think one of the big themes is the family secrets, the family past, a father-daughter relationship, things that Skylar needs to overcome. And she gets put into some very precarious positions in this book, and and has some things that she really does not want to come to the surface.
I'm intrigued. Like I said, I am reading it right now, and I'm absolutely loving what I've read so far. You don't happen to have a copy of Summer's Blood next to you, do you?
On
I didn't ask you before we went live, so it's my fault.
Now, I mean, I can grab one. It's like right handy.
If you want to, mine's downstairs, so you'll be quicker than I will.
I have it, but okay, I'm doing this live, so this is
That's
not
okay.
very
No worries.
professional of me.
There it
This
is.
is Summer's Blood. This is actually you can see the not for resale. This is the first one I
It's,
ever got, the
it's
proof.
fine.
But
But
yeah, this is the
one,
book. You can see the skyline in Las Vegas. That it was
mhm.
the first story that I ever wrote based in Las Vegas. And I know somebody in your group has a question that's
There it
posted.
is. Why did it take place in Vegas? And that's from Janet.
So Janet, yes, I actually the I have these 5 books. So the first 3 books were written and they were based in LA, which is where I grew up. And when I moved into the thriller genre and mystery genre, and moved the story forward, it became what it was. And I thought, because I lived and worked in Las Vegas for 15 years of my career in marketing in the casino industry, um, I thought it would be. There was enough distance between me and the casino industry in Las Vegas for me to sort of look at it objectively and be like, "Wow, what a great setting for a mystery thriller." And because I know the business, I know the city. It was fun for me to set Summer's Blood in Las Vegas. And then I thought, you know what, this whole series, because it's called the Neon Diaries, I
Mhm.
thought this is going to be the whole series is going to be in Las Vegas. And I'm going to, go into my own knowledge and, go back and kind of lift the veil of what happens there and what the business is like. And so it was, yeah, that was I think the reason I said it in Vegas is I just thought it's time for me to write about that city after having lived and worked in that industry.
You know it well. And they always say, write what you know.
Yeah, I mean that's it's much harder to do a book in a place in a setting where you haven't been. You can do it because all many writers do.
Yeah,
We just
I've done it.
research.
But it's not, it's a challenge. It really is a challenge because you want to put the reader right there. And
Absolutely.
when I wrote Secrets Told, I'd never been to Alaska, Connecticut, or that part of New York. So for me, wasn't just one place. It was 3 states that I had to get familiar with and hopefully put the reader in those places.
You did an amazing job too, because I read that book and I really felt like I was experiencing those places. And so for you to have not,
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
I really want to go there now after writing the books. But
you have to.
Alaska for me was the most of the challenges. I mean, because so many people have high expectations of Alaska that, they have their own image of Alaska, and you wanted to fulfill that image in your story. It's like, oh my Lord. But,
Did
I
you just research that online and
I researched it all online, yeah. And there was, I mean, we're not talking about my books, but there's a little town called Hope, which I never even heard of, but it was perfect for the story and the location. And I researched that little town and absolutely fell in love with it. I'm like, I want to go visit this place. And I wanted to take that drive to Woodyear from Hope. And yeah, it was a lot of research for Alaska, but I
that,
enjoyed it.
that's really cool because that's like kind of the opposite of the way I've ever written. It's like you're writing about a place and suddenly you're falling in love and wanting to go there. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I'd love to go there. I really would. But back to your book.
Yeah.
I want to pop up some more names here saying hello to us. This is a little earlier. They came on and said hello, Tina and Adele from Karen. And then we have Janet. She says, congratulations on your release. Yeah,
Thank
today is
you.
launch day for Supergirl. Congratulations. And I am honored to have you on my show on launch day.
Oh,
Thank
goodness.
you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much for having me. No, this is fun. This is a great way to celebrate, right?
It really is. It really is.
Thank you.
And then Lori says hello. She is here.
Hi,
And then we
Lori.
have, but I'm just going down the line real quick.
Yeah.
Belinda is here. Well, she was. Where'd you go, Belinda? Where'd you go, Belinda? There she is.
Belinda.
Belinda says hello. She also says this. I like the cover of your book. Let's go with your cover. Is this your design? Is it your publisher's design, or is it a combo? In other words, give me the steps on how you came up with that cover and why.
Yes. So here's the cover. It's, as you can see, the font is, it looks like chalk, right?
Mhm.
This is Skylar. I've never thought of putting a person on a cover
There
because,
she is.
but she's here. I actually chose this. So this was a collaborative design. I have a partner, a publishing partner up in Montreal. They are wonderful people, and their artist designed the cover. And basically, the way we went about it is we talk about the colors, and we talk about the colors that I chose in Summer's Blood for that cover were totally different. And I really was going through this green. I had like green blue. I had sort of like these, and we just kind of talked it through and brainstormed, but I did not have a concept in mind for the cover. This artist who created this cover, he had this font,
Mhm.
and I loved it because it looks like a scrawl of chalk, and there's a very pivotal scene in Slipper Girl in which a chalkboard is involved, and it's a very chilling revelation for Skylar.
Okay.
And she's basically, yeah, I mean, I don't want to give the spoiler away, but
No, don't. Don't,
it's
no,
the
no, no, no.
scene where there's something scrawled on a chalkboard that is an extremely chilling message to her. And so when I saw that font, and then I think there was a different image that was here. And then I think another one of the designs had this green, and all I could think of was, this book is darker than Summer's Blood. It is a dark thriller. It's it's scary. It's scary
Okay.
in times where you're expecting one thing, and then and there's always this tension that's mounting with what's going on with her, and she's frightened, and she's also a fighter. She's not a scared woman. She's not like, I've had characters in my books that are like, oh, tip, tip, tip. She's not like that. But
Right.
this is a really scary situation she's in, and so I wanted I wanted an image of her. I had an image in my mind of what she looked like, and I gave that to the artist who designed this cover. And we went back and forth a few times, and I wanted her to be sort of peering out and being
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god!" And so so that's the effect is like
Right.
frightened, but she's
Yeah, you
distraught.
nailed, I mean, the cover artist nailed it. I think it's very good. And
Yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
the
but
colors.
yeah, it was a collaborative effort among all of us, and we were just all had like a night. And the green was just so chilly
You
of
go.
that cover. That this sort of, it's like a teal. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a real teal green. I wanted it to be murky. I did not want her face to be clear. I did not want it to be like a cartoon. I didn't want it to be like a photo, because sometimes when in my opinion, when I see that, it's kind of like, oh, I don't really want to see. I wanted enough of the imagination of the reader with her, but I also wanted an image of her, and it was kind of a chance that I took on
I
that
think
cover
it
because,
works well. I think it
okay, well, great, because I was literally
works.
like, okay, is this effective? I asked my partners, I'm like, is this an effective cover? And they're like, no, it's so different. It's different. Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, for me, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not speaking for anyone else. You say that it's scary, right? It's a thriller. If
Yes.
you'd have made the cover like how can I say, like gory, like murder gory, I would
Mhm.
not pick it up. Because because for me, I like thrillers, but the cover, if it stands out too gory, I won't pick it up. I won't.
It's, you know what, and it's a taste thing, and it's a fine line, and it's sort of like, and it really, I picked up covers that, yeah, I hear you. I'm not necessarily a fan of that either. I didn't want that. But again, this thriller is, like I said, it's a little
You say it's
darker.
scary, but you don't reflect like goriness. It's not gory scary.
I mean, there's some stuff that, there's some violence in there. I'm not somebody who like loves to write about violence, but in this particular instance, there is. I feel like I've done it in a way that's not like gratuitous gore, where
Yeah,
people
I
are like, oh my god, they're so. But it
mean,
is
I love the
chilling.
prologue. Let's start there. I love the prologue of your book. So
Thank you. You want me to, we were
we're going to
talking
read that a little bit. Not yet. We're going to, about halfway through, we're going to,
okay.
in a little bit, we're going to talk about your prologue.
Yeah.
I still want to scroll down. Belinda says, I love the cover of your book. I just like bringing the readers into our chat. So let's see what else we got here. Let me see. Lori says you are a new author to her. I love it when we get new readers for you. Dana, I'm just hitting questions up from the readers here. She wants to know if any of your family members read your book.
Yes. Yes, my family members read my book. Now, normally I have my mother and my mother-in-law are like the first readers of the manuscript. And my mother-in-law actually is a big horror fan.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, so my stuff is probably too tame for her, but yes, my family members read. My husband always reads first. He reads every chapter as I'm doing it. Like we talk about it together. It's kind of like it's like something we sit around and go, oh, okay, well, what you think of this? And so, and then my brother was actually a beta reader on this. So yes, my family members read.
Family support.
I do, and now they're all like, so the ones who didn't read the manuscript are now like getting the book, and they're like, oh, I can't. So yes, I have a ton of support, and I'm very grateful.
I won't let my husband read mine until it's a book.
Really?
No, I won't. Well, mine, no, it's a hot mess until it's a book. But
well, I know, but
it really is. That's done. Now you can read it. That's just me.
That's fun.
It really is. It really is. How many books have you written? I know about these two, but how many have you written other books besides these two?
Yes, I have 5 total. The first 3 in the series were a different series. They were my first series, and they were like romantic dramedy is what I call them. Again, but I use the same characters. So this series is connected to the other series by, they're connected, but the first series is a different genre, romance, relationships, all of that stuff. The new series of the Neon Diaries with Summer's Blood and Slipper Girl is mystery thriller. So it's just a different way of storytelling and a different type of story. But yeah, they're all connected, and a lot of the same characters that I had in book 1 are some in Slipper Girl, but I have a lot of new characters that I find really intriguing and fun.
That's interesting because so would you classify the first 3 books, the romance, the continuation all through to the 5 books that you've written? So would they need to be read in order? Like if someone came up to you and said, I've never read any of your books before, which book would you recommend?
I would ask that reader, what do you like? If they like romance, I'd say, well, read the romance. Read the first 3 books, because that's fun. Romance is lighter. It's it's a little bit more slick. The setting. I mean, this is a little gritty, but if you said to me, I like mystery thriller, I'd say, well, start with Summer's Blood and then read Slipper Girl. But I've written all these books to stand alone, so you do not have to. Okay. You do not have to read any to enjoy any. So you could pick up any one of them. And the way I handle it in the books is I sort of, flashback a little without being tedious.
I was going to say in Slipper Girl, I'm reading now, you give enough backstory to Summer's Blood of what happened in Summer's Blood, so the reader knows what's going on.
Yeah, and I try to do that with every book, so that they, if you just picked up one, a lot of readers that I've had, when I published Summer's Blood, had never read the other books and just read Summer's Blood. And and so yeah, I just want them to be standing on their own. But if you like these characters and you're really interested in them, you can read, but yeah.
True. Yeah. So this is, I'm going to call it, do you want me to call it book 5 or book 2?
Let's call it book 2, because Neon Diaries has now the 2 books I'm already outlining and already down the road on 3. But yeah, this is a new series. So yeah, this is book 2 of the new series.
And the series is Neon Diaries.
Yes.
And going back to the other 3, are they steamy or just closed door? What would you rate the steam in the romance?
Pretty steamy, but it depends on like I call it an R-rated movie. I mean, it's not like super steam, but like Camera Ready was the first book I published. That was very women's fiction-y, and I don't think there were any. I mean, there were a couple of scenes that were a little bit risque, but it was probably my tamest book. For Position Only was the sequel to that. That one was a little bit racy because it was told by a male protagonist who kind of had a problem being a womanizer. So I had to kind of make the book that way. But I mean, all of them. And then Princess Smile was the prequel to those two books. I published that one third. And I would say there were some, it's again, R-rated-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Excellent.
Medium steam.
There you go. Are you ready to read to us now? You want to read?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to be quiet and let you. You're going to read the prologue, right?
I'm going to read the prologue because I don't want to. I feel like it sets the tone for the story. And again, we don't know as a reader like who's telling this story, which I did it on purpose. All right. So here we go. So the prologue. Blood trickled along the cement floor like a slow-moving oil spill. A thick metallic stench hung in the room. I froze, heart jackhammering in a relentless rhythm, pounding against the treacherous silence that enveloped the apartment. I stumbled to the window and pulled aside the threadbare curtains. The city was still there, plodding on, unbroken and ignorant of the violent maelstrom that had just rocked these walls. Thank God they can't talk. I had only moments to leave the scene before the police arrived. The struggle was loud and long. Someone had to have heard the commotion, the neighbors, someone. I turned slowly, my eyes darting to the motionless corpse that lay sprawled unnaturally on the floor, like an oversized doll with its limbs dismantled. Only this was no doll. The sickening reality that I'd killed a man was like ice water gushing down my back. The blade slipped in with ease, almost effortlessly, as though it had carried its own urge to plunge in deep. The mark was clear, right in the center, the core, the heart. He was already bleeding out when a mixture of panic and rage surged in my veins, sharply mingling with an unexpected clarity. I tore the knife out and drove it back in over and over while blood sprayed everywhere. The clock is ticking. I have to act now. I scurried to the small, grimy bathroom, almost slipping on the bloody floor, and began to scrub the remnants from my body. The cadence of my scouring became an impatient mantra, each swipe escorted by the angst of my own thoughts and jumping heartbeat. Someone's going to find out. I've got to get out of here now. My mind raced, recalling the hideous display that fueled the adrenaline, the final act before that moment when sheer fury took over. I had no other choice. But now I'd crossed the line and there was no going back. The blood, so much blood, embedded in the grooves of my nails, blood all over the floor, staining the walls, was like a raging wildfire edging closer with each passing second, threatening to scorch me with an unalterable future. I've got to get out of here now. When I purged the last traces of crimson from my flesh, I staggered back to assess the scene. Sheer horror pelted my gut, and a wave of nausea washed over me. I gulped, coughing and covering my mouth so I wouldn't vomit. I had to kill him. He was a violent criminal rapist who deserved to die. He forced my hand, but at some point it became something else entirely. A sublime darkness had unleashed and consumed me. I closed my eyes, drew in a shaky breath, and stepped around the blood-soaked mess into the outside world that I learned over time would never be the same.
That's a really good prologue. Really good.
It's scary, right?
It's scary, but what I like about it too is, like you mentioned earlier, you have no idea who's talking.
You don't know.
That right there. Well, who's this? Who is this? And that will make you turn the page just to find out who did that or who's talking in the prologue.
Well, and the way I wrote the prologue is I wrote it in first person, whereas the book is all written in third person, limited point of view. So you kind of really aren't sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put up some comments, and I'm going to scroll back because there's a lot of questions that I am missing that I want to have you answer for our readers. Elaine wants to know, are you reading from Summer Blood? That was from Slipper Girl. Can you hold up the cover again, just so she knows? But that is book 2 of the Neon Diaries, Slipper Girl. She just read the prologue from that. Summer Blood is book 1.
Summer's Blood is this one.
Summer Blood is book 1, yeah. Really good book, by the way. I read that one, and I'm reading Slipper Girl right now. Karen says, wow. Let me see. I want to catch some of those questions I missed. Carol News also says, wow. Let's see if I can get up. Sometimes this thing doesn't want me to scroll up, and I hate it when it does that. Give me a minute.
Thank you, guys. Sure,
yeah, it's a really, really good book. 1 second. I'm trying to get up, and it won't let me get up. I'm trying. Because there's some questions I want. Here we go. Belinda says, scary. I love it. I didn't put it. Wow. Colleen Blackwood says, wow, what a great reading. Intense, dark, and fascinating. Okay, here's one from Janet. I'm going to put these questions up as I see them. Are the characters people you met in Vegas?
No. And here's why. I never use real people in my books ever. Now, characters can be composites of myself, different people. But what I like to do, and the reason that when you write in a series that's been going on for 5 books, you have characters that have been around for kind of a long time, right? And the new characters that develop have developed out of the stories that were original and that did not, they were fictitious people that I made up and figured out, this sort of world that they live in. And but I never use real people. And I don't know how, I mean, like a lot of authors are all different, some of us use like, you might take some characteristics from somebody. We all do that. But I mean,
actual people that you know.
Actual people that I know. And I've never had anyone even say, "Oh, that reminds me of this person." Like you just don't want that in fiction because it's just, it's so much more fun to make these people up.
I think so. I mean, are you a plotter or a pantser? Do you plot your books, or do you? For me, like my characters will talk to me, and I just do what they say. How about you? Do you plot your books from beginning, middle, and end, or do your characters come into your head and you get to know them that way and just write what they tell you to write, which is what I do?
I do all of that. So when I moved out of the first series, I was a pantser in that series. So I always knew what was going to happen at the beginning, the characters, who they were going to be, and what happened at the end. A lot of times that would change. Again, you're writing and they start doing things that you weren't
planning on them doing or don't like, but I let them do it anyways.
Oh no, that's like the magic of the story developing over time. You're writing and you're thinking, oh, something in a dialogue that you write or something in an interaction will give you another idea, right? And you'll be like, okay, this is actually, I could go down this path. But with Summer's Blood and Slipper Girl, because of their mystery thriller, I had to outline to a pretty.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I outlined a lot on those, and I wasn't used to doing that. So, but I changed the outlines. The story just keeps developing. I can add a new character. I added a new characters in Slipper Girl towards the end that I didn't intend. You're writing a scene and then you're like, oh my gosh, I need this person. I need somebody to be doing this. Well, who can that person be, right? Is it a friend of this person's? Is it like, can it be somebody who had a history with one of the characters and they're coming in to sort of either be a hero helper or to cause a problem? But that stuff develops over time and it develops organically. So you're not like, I don't just sit there. I don't just strictly look at my outline and go, oh nope, that can't happen. It changes and it's like a living, breathing thing that's changing as you're writing. And so what you described as the characters doing things that you you had no idea they're going to do. And then,
But they
and
do
then
it.
it becomes like this really great scene, and you're like, I'm keeping this. But
Yeah.
all of that I do. It's just that I start out more with a definitive outline than I with these mystery thrillers than I did with the other series.
That makes a lot of sense. You have some kind of structure.
Yeah, I
With
have
my characters, they're all over the place, and I pull them in once in a while, but it's just the way they are. And you're better with your characters are more trained than mine. All right, I have a question here from Colleen. We're talking about writing. Let's see. She says, "Do you have a special spot that you do your writing in?"
I do, and it's like right here. I know it's a little bit dim in the room, but this is my writing office area. I write in here. I work in here. But that said, I do like to take my act on the road sometimes. You know, I love to write on planes.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I love to write on a long like flight, or a short one. I take my writing everywhere, and I take it on my iPad and just kind of I always have it there in case I'm feeling inspired and I want to do that while I'm traveling. So and then sometimes I'll go outside, I'll go to the beach, I'll go somewhere. We live in California, so there's a lot of places to write, but mostly I'm here, and I have all my like creative things in this room, and it's mostly my spot where I write.
Yeah, your zone. So
My
you're okay. Not you can write with it, and you can write without silence. You don't need silence to write because you can write in public places, on an airplane, or the beach, or something like that.
Yes, I can write with I actually like music while I'm writing. I can't have lyrics to it, so it depends
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
the
kind of
same way. I'm
music.
about to say no lyrics. I can do that.
Yeah, because it kind of distracts you, right? Because you're
Oh,
hearing
totally.
words.
Yeah, I'll start singing to the song that's playing. You know, it's like
You're
the
like
next,
suddenly you're writing the lyrics to a song, and you're like, wait a minute.
yeah, or
But
it shows up in the next line. You know, the chorus of the song I'm listening to is the next line of the book. So yeah, I can listen to music, but
yeah,
it has to be complete silence. Complete silence.
not me.
Yeah, same way. Carol has a question for you. She says, "What made you decide to become a writer?"
I Writing picked me.
Oh, I love that.
I totally did not decide. I wrote from a very early age as a kid, and I was just always interested in it. I was just better at writing and language and literature, and then I majored in it in school in English, and I was always like a reader. And but I actually became more of a creative writer later in life. So it was probably in the last 15 years that I started to get serious about writing books. So wasn't like this conscious decision. I just knew I had to do it, and I wanted to do it, and you know, I just started doing it. And I'll say that was the clear thing that like anybody who wants to write, you just gotta start there. Just keep
You just have to do it.
going.
When
Do
you Yeah, when you first start a book, what do you find the hardest part to get that book going? Is it a title? Is it a cover? Is it the outline? Is it the plot? Is there something that you find hard to get you in that mode to start writing?
Great question. I don't think about covers. I don't think about titles. I like right now I'm working on book 6. It's just called book 6 in my
I
files.
mean, I say new book.
No, well, I mean that's the thing. It's like book 6, and I've already have a plot, loose plot where I know who the main character is going to be. And I set it up in Slipper Girl. Like at the end, you're going to see who's going to be on the next, who's
Next
going to
one.
be the center of the drama coming forward. So I set it up already. I already knew loosely what was going to uh, be the conflict, but now it's all gelling. So here's what I do. Like I write down notes of the plot, like I mean handwritten notes and some notes in my phone, and I really just start, okay, these are the characters. Here's kind of what they're going to be embroiled in. And then I did this a couple weeks ago because I was, when you're between books, you're like, oh God, what am I doing? I need to be I need to be creative, right? I need to be creating something.
Something.
So I just started writing the first chapter, and I know it's nothing that, I just thought of a scene that could start that off, and the could roll into the conflict immediately. And so I wrote, like, I don't know, 5 pages,
There you
and
go.
that's all that I've done. But that's how I usually do it. It's like I have to write a little something to get sort of the flavor of the tone. And I might not even use that, right? You probably write stuff in
I
your.
mean, for me, it's getting that first paragraph down.
Oh, yeah.
First paragraph, I always find the hardest, always. Once that's down, then it starts to unfold.
But do you give yourself a break in that, your first paragraph doesn't have to be a masterpiece because it's your first
No, it
draft?
doesn't, but I always blame it on the characters. I'm like, hello, I'm here. Come on. It's the
Come
characters.
on.
Come on, I'm ready. Let's do this.
It's funny.
But as soon as I get that first paragraph down, then they go. And then once in a while, I don't hear from them, and I get frustrated, but I'll just go do something else. I'm not going to sit around and wait for them.
Isn't that funny how they tune in and out, and you're kind of
They
like
do.
trying to receive it?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and I will have arguments with them back and forth in my head, as crazy as it sounds. They want to do something in the book, and I'm like, I can't have you do that. And they're like, well, then I'm going to shut up. That's what they say to me. If you don't let me do this, then I'm not talking to you anymore. So, okay, fine.
Do you ever try something? I know, because I do this. Is you try something and you start going down a path, and then you're like, oh no, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
going to scrap that. But there's a kernel in there, right?
Yeah, this is when I found out I was a pantster and not a plotter. Because in Slade, just take you back real quick, Slade was book 1 of my romance series, and then Eve was book 2. And Eve was an ex of Slater. So I assumed that Eve has come back to fight for Slater because Sabella was now the girlfriend. And that's why I was plotting the book, that it was going to be some, competition between. No, it was totally off the rail. It was totally wrong. And Eve is in my head, says, that's not why I'm here. This is why I'm here. And I just let her take the book. So
that is so beautiful. Like, I love that. That is magic.
And they say, okay, I'm never ever going to tell these characters what to do, because they will let me know. And he's like, that's not why I'm here. This is why I'm here. And I was totally wrong about why she was in the book and why she got her own book. So
see,
yes. So I've never tried to plot a book since then. I have no idea how the book's going to end.
Wow.
I just wait until it's quiet and okay, we're done. Book's over. There we go. So
yeah, when you're done.
Books, So I think if I tried to plot, I would just be arguing with my characters all the time. So it just doesn't work for me.
Everybody has their process, and we're all different.
I really do. And I have my authors that can actually plot their books to a T, because mine, do whatever they want.
Oh, I don't plot them to a T, like I said, because it really is hard to do that and stick with it, because while you're writing, you do come up with better ideas, and you do come up with twists that you weren't thinking about. Because when you're plotting a book or outlining it and you're not really writing it, it's so different. You got to immerse yourself. And once you're immersed in the characters, then you come up with things that can happen that are like, so in Slipper Girl, there's a character who, I was trying to figure out how this character was going to fit, or what was the reason they were there, and what was their backstory. And I had very different stories and ideas, and literally it didn't come to me until I was more than halfway through the writing. And it was a great idea. And then I figured out, oh my gosh, and here's why this is going to happen. Because, it starts all kind of clicking together. But it's never looking the same as when I start.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the book, I wonder why a character is doing this. But by the time you get to the end of the book, it makes a lot of sense. It really, okay, now I know why you did that.
exactly.
Earlier, but no, you wouldn't tell me. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find a few more questions. Let me see. Here's one right here for you. Have you host your next writing project yet? Have you host? I'm sorry, Colleen. I'm not sure what that means. Um,
Um, well, if you're
no. Have you chosen your next writing project?
So if that's the question, the answer is yes. I have two projects going at once. Okay, so I have the sequel to Slipper Girl. That is a priority, but I actually have a more imminent priority with I have a collection of short stories that I plan to have out towards the end of the year, more like towards like August, September, and the collection is called Deadly Sins. It'll fit into the sort of thriller category-ish. But it's a collection of about 12 to 15 stories. I'm still working on the final edits of that. I might like write another one. I love writing short stories. I've written these over probably 10 years, and I already made the plan to publish that. And that book is basically, the stories are somebody's committing a deadly sin, or many, and I kind of leave it to the reader to figure out what they're doing. And a lot of them are not very nice people, and they get a serious comeuppance towards the end. Some of them they redeem themselves and they have like a reward, but that book will be it'll be it's not going to be a big full-length novel. It's short story collection, so
But it's a collection of short stories in one book.
Correct.
Not related to the Neon Diaries at all.
Not related to the Neon Diaries. Although I will say this, I did write a couple of stories that I would call them companion shorts to my books, where I took a character and developed a story off of that character that was maybe a minor character in one of the books.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
I have a couple of those in there, but yeah, that's kind of, I would call that like, because full length novel is what that's a bigger project. And yes, I'm starting the sequel, as discussed, to Slipper Girl. So those two projects are kind of going concurrently, but the short stories are more complete. Are obviously in the finish line, as opposed to in the inception process, which is what the novel is in right now.
I love it. All right. Question from Belinda. I think it's Belinda. No, I'm sorry, Carol. I love it when each book can be read as a. Oh, here's Belinda. I'm sorry. That was Carol's comment. Belinda's asking, what is your favorite part of writing?
My favorite part of writing is the imagination part. I just love the going into the world, the being with the characters, the being a part of this other world that we created that doesn't exist anywhere else. And it's fun because it's not a part of our real lives, but it is so much, a real thing when we're in there. And so I feel like that sort of magic with, writing the characters, having them interact, and making this world develop is my favorite part of writing. Yeah. And if I had to say one thing out of that process, like in general, it's the writing of the characters, because to me that's the most fun. Right? It's like it's
getting to know them. When
getting to know them.
When you first start writing the books, they're strangers, just like the person moved in next door to your home. They're strangers, and as you progress your stories, progress your series, they become your friends. They really do.
They do become your friends, and they become your readers' friends too. Readers become attached to characters.
I mean, when I end the series, it's really bittersweet. It's like, I miss them.
It's so cool when they do that, right? When somebody says, "Oh, I wanted this to work out," or they see them there, they look forward to them, and that is the coolest part of writing.
It's sweet when you end a series. When I ended the Sabella series after 8 books, they've been a part of my life for 3 years. And when I wrote the last book, I'm like, oh man, but
you got to write another one. That's the thing.
Oh, don't tell me that. Well, maybe. Never say never, right? Okay, I got enough time for one more question from our readers. This is from Gail. She says, "What are your hobbies?"
My hobbies, I have a few. I enjoy cooking, and I really love to do things with my hands when I'm not writing because it brings me back down to earth and it grounds me. So some days when I just can't be in my head, I can't go into my world of characters and writing, and I just need to do some things that are grounding me. You know, I do cooking and like laundry and ironing. I know that sounds really boring, but it makes me it makes me happy to like laundry and iron. But and I read a lot. And reading to me is I don't read, a lot of authors are different with this, but I don't necessarily read while I'm writing. If I'm taking a break, uh, you know, let's say I'm in a part of the book and I'll be like, "Ah, I just need to lay this down for a bit. And now I'm going to read a book." And, but I try to keep those separate because, um, I love the creative worlds that other authors give
Hmm.
me. And I just like now I'm going to be in their world for a bit. And so yeah, so I love reading. I love reading thrillers. I love reading everything, but I've really been kind of uh, focused in on thrillers lately. And maybe it's because I'm writing in that genre, but I have a few favorite authors that I'm loving to read right now.
Excellent. Okay, I got one more question here I'm going to put up, and then we're going to be wrapping it up soon. Is Skylar your favorite character in your books? I'm going to say she's mine. I'll answer that question too. But
She's your favorite?
she
Gosh,
is.
she's newer. Um, I have another favorite character, and yes, she's up there now because I've now explored her personality. I've written a book and gotten to know her, as you were saying earlier
Mhm.
today. So yeah, she's one of but I have two, and the other one is actually in this book, and that would be DJ. I
Okay.
but I love both of them, and the fact that they are father daughter and they've got so many things to learn, and one thinks one thing and the other thinks the other, and you know Skylar thinks DJ doesn't love her, and or doesn't she doesn't know how much he's gonna root for her, you know,
Well,
and
Skylar is the one I talked about in Summer's Blood. I asked you about Skylar when I read that book.
you
And
picked her out,
I did.
and that was funny too because I had already decided she was going to be a main character because I found her very interesting. So yes, she is a favorite character, but I have a few.
Okay. All right. Sweetheart, before we wrap this up, I got to keep it under an hour so I can share this video. Before we wrap it up, number one, it's always a thrill to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
But the question I always ask authors is, for a writer who wants to become a published author, what is the one piece of advice you would give to them?
You need to start writing and write as often as you can and write every day.
Good. Yeah.
Write every day. Don't relent. If that's what you love and that is your passion and that's your calling, you got to do it all as often as you can. I know we get busy, but
Yeah. You got to do it. I agree with you 100%. And you are doing a giveaway. So thank you so much for that. If
yes.
you want to tell the readers what that is.
Sure, I am going to give away a paperback of Supergirl. So
Hey,
will be
good.
my giveaway.
Wonderful. I will go ahead and pick the winner for you, and I will email you the address and contact info. I know
Perfect.
we didn't get to all of the questions, but you can go to my author page, and any questions through the comments that you'd like to answer, feel free to do that. I know you're a busy lady, but it's on my author page where you'll find this, and you can share this too from there too.
Oh, great. No, I'd love to.
Be sure to share it. And also, I'm doing my giveaway, which is the Amazon gift card, $5 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is share this video from my author page, tag me in the video so I know you shared it, and you'll be entered in the drawing for the $5 Amazon gift card. Before we sign off, Adele, this has, of course, been a wonderful chat. Congratulations again on the launch of Slipper Girl today.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I am really enjoying the book, but let readers know where they can find your book and your website before we sign off.
Yes, well, you can find all my books on my website. They link to Amazon, and you can read about the book. So it's AdeleRoyce.com, and just go there. That's kind of your one-stop shop, AdeleRoyce.com.
Excellent. And your book, is it on Kindle Unlimited or no? Or just
Right
Kindle?
now it's on Kindle, and it's a paperback, and the hardcover and the audiobook will be available very shortly soon.
Excellent. Well, I wish you all the best, and I got to have you back when book 3 is done.
Yes, I have to come
Yes.
back.
Yes.
We have a tradition now.
Yes. And thank you, readers, for joining us. I will see you in the group, and I'll be in contact with you, Adele, with the winner.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everybody.